Ooh, yeah. The power pervert's back. All you baloney bandits out there want the treasure in my ass, and you can have it. Yeah. Hey, folks. Welcome to the Jake and John Show, the world's greatest podcast of all time. And I'm John, here with the other host, Jake.
What's up?
What's up, man? And we're going to talk about just whatever today, man. Freestyling a little bit. But I think the first thing I want to talk about, because I'm not going to be able to go, is the Dickens Festival in Galveston. That's where it is, right?
Yeah, it's called Dickens on the Strand. I've wanted to go for several years and haven't made it. And I think we're going to go this Saturday. Unfortunately, I believe it's supposed to be cold as fuck and raining. But
fuck that.
We'll see what happens. But yeah, it's cool. It's like or to the best of my knowledge, it's like a Charles Dickens themed thing. They have there's a lot of live music, and I saw a thing on the calendar. They have like a steampunk themed ball, which that might be kind of cool to check out. And
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but do you have any interest in dressing up in steampunk type of shit? Or do you have any?
No, not really. I think the style's cool. Like I like the style of like steampunk objects. Like every once in a while you see somebody makes this badass like steam powered something. You know what I mean? Like people make all kinds of shit. I think that like stylistically it's fucking awesome. I'd love to have that kind of stuff. Like it's just decor. It's
that game Final Fantasy VII. I think that has a steampunk element to it, doesn't it?
Man, I haven't seen that game in so long. It's possible. You know what it reminds me of is like, is it gnomes on World of Warcraft, where everything's like gears and shit like that?
Oh right,
like,
yeah.
That's kind of like how I picture it in my head. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, like the really cool looking goggles and shit.
Yeah. There's like goggles and everything's made of like brass and has lots of gears and dials and shit like that.
So at this festival, is it, you said it was, in a sense, like the Renaissance Festival, where they had booths set up and people were dressed up? And...
Yeah, I'm speculating a little bit. Like I said, I've never been, but that's what I think is going on. It's like a big street festival, and there's all kinds of stuff going on. I really don't know a whole hell of a lot about it yet, but it seems like a cool thing, though, because like Charles Dickens stuff is cool. So I imagine that thematically it'll be like people... I expect to see people in costume and stuff like that. I think there's like parades and all that kind of stuff going on.
So where did the connection with Dickens and the steampunk thing come from?
I'm sure that there is an association somewhere, but I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. I just saw it on the calendar as one of the many events.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
well, I think that sounds badass, dude. And I haven't been to Galveston fucking since, let's see, I want to say like 2000.
Really?
Yeah.
It's cool. Like I really like just being by the ocean. It's certainly not the prettiest beach in the United States, but something about being out by the ocean to me is really cool. Because it's one of those things, and it sounds kind of stupid, that it makes you realize just how small you are as a human. Like the ocean. I like to go stand out like on like those big ass jetties and stuff out there where you're kind of just surrounded by the water, and you just kind of see the power of the ocean. It's really relaxing to me. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that, and just being able to like kind of hang out by the water, if nothing else.
Yeah, they say that about the ocean. Is one, most people are familiar with this. It heals a broken heart, but also that once you're there, especially if you're alone or just like with someone you really trust, it makes you feel small in a sense, but also like you appreciate life. It's just one of those magical things. Yeah. Maybe not if you live by the beach. But. Something
interesting like about the beach is I've been to Galveston a few times in just the past couple of years, and there's something out there that I'm not going to say makes me want to exercise, but like if the weather's nice, like I could go walk down the beach for a long ass time. You know what I mean? Like I could probably easily do like an 8 or 10 mile walk, just walking along the beach, just looking at shit and just like enjoying the atmosphere. You know what I mean? It's not like you're walking around through your neighborhood or something. It's just you're surrounded by something that's so awesome that it just makes you feel good. At least it does for me. Just being by the ocean, something about that makes me just feel good inside.
Yeah, man. Our parents came to visit me when I lived in New Jersey. I think it was like the first year I was there, and we just all missed each other, and I hadn't seen them in fucking like 8 months or something like that. And you couldn't make it. I think you had to work or something. But we were up there, and they rented this small like beach condo thing. And so we were out there, and we went to the beach, and it was beautiful, when you first go out there in the morning and shit. But it started to warm up, and as soon as it did, there was these massive fucking horseflies everywhere, dude. And it was like there's so many like you can't just lay on the beach and try to soak in the sun because they're biting the fuck out of you the whole time. Yeah, dude, it was fucking enraging, man. But it was still cool. But dirty Jersey, I guess, you know. But at the same time, I mean, honestly, the beaches there are better than the ones in Galveston, you know, from what I've seen anyway. Cause when you go to Galveston, it's like somebody fucking threw spinach all over the sand, you know, fucking the sea.
Yeah, and I don't know I can't remember what the word is like depository or something like that. But basically, the stuff in the Gulf of Mexico is like washing in, where like on the West Coast and stuff, it's eroding, it's pulling away. So like all the shit gets pulled into the Gulf, you know, and the water always looks murky out there too. I mean, some of it's pollution, but some of it's just the natural way it kicks up the dirt and all that kind of shit, you know. But Galveston looks a lot better than it did when we were kids because it was Exxon Valdez, right? Like there was that big oil spill, and you remember we're going when we were kids, and you would have like chunks of tar on your like sandals and shit like that. Yeah, you remember that?
Yeah,
but they've really cleaned it up, and I mean, as far as just cleanliness, it looks pretty good now. Now there is one strange thing that I don't think this existed when we were kids. Is there's the like flesh-eating bacteria shit going on, and that might have been going on forever. I don't know. Maybe people are just more like keen to it now. But I know we went out and we were walking on the beach, and I was like, man, this is awesome, you know. And then when we were walking back up the stairs at the seawall, there was a sign there, and it said like I think they like color code the levels of danger because of flesh-eating bacteria or whatever. And I don't think that there was actually a threat like right then, but just seeing that sign, I was like, fuck, I was just walking in the water, you know. So I don't know, that's kind of grotesque and weird.
Yeah, I just talking about Galveston, it reminds me of this memory I have. And, they have Mardi Gras there. Do they still have it? Is it Gras or Gras? I don't know.
Mardi Gras, yeah, it's still there.
And I believe that the main festivities, they carry over to Crystal Beach. And for some reason, Crystal Beach, like when people would say it, but that's the spot, bro. That's where all the parties.
Well, it's like a kind of fucking. It's not like police the same, right? You can drive your car on it, and people are usually like kind of like out there like camping out and shit like that. Yeah,
and if I remember correctly, so we went down there, and it had to be 99 or 2000, somewhere around there, and you got to take the ferry to get over there. And so it's fucking late at night and shit, and everybody out there is partying. You know what I'm saying? And so we can see people drunk on the ferry and shit trying to hide it. You know, you can tell it's going to get wild when we get over there. And it did. And so it was probably like 2 o'clock in the morning. And we went out on the Crystal Beach. And we just saw these people partying. They had fucking beer everywhere. Everybody was smoking weed and shit. And so we just got almost like a rave. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we just walked up to this group of people, and they're like, "Hey!" But it was like cholos, like vatos, like vatos locos type of shit, those type of dudes. But they were being cool, so we're like, "Hey, whatever, man, fuck it, we'll party. We'll share a beer with you and shit." And they were like sharing shit with us, and it was a good time. But anyway, the point of this story is that there was this one white girl. It was like a ton of like Mexican dudes, like thugs and shit. I mean, they were being cool, but they looked like fucking thugs to me, you know?
Yeah.
And they had this girl, and I don't know what the fuck she was on. Yeah, but she was with her boyfriend too, or I thought he was. I don't know, but he kind of looked. I don't like to say this about people, but like a beta male, like she's running shit. She does what she wants, and so she's her and this other like fat Mexican guy. They start dancing with each other, and somehow this fucking crowd forms around. I mean, this girl is like kind of like crackheady looking, you know what I mean? Yeah. But everybody's just fucked up. And everybody's like, yeah, show us your titties, bitch, and all this. And she's like, woohoo, and she takes her shirt off and shit. And I'm like worried this girl's going to get mauled. I don't even know her, you know what I'm saying? But I don't want some weird shit to happen because I wouldn't be able to do anything. Even if I tried, they'd fucking kill me, you know what I mean? And so, but she's going with it, and she looks like she's having the fucking time of her life. And they're like, yeah, baby, take your fucking... She had a bikini on, and she took the top off and all that shit. And they were like, yeah, take your fucking bottom off your panties or whatever they were calling it. And she did it. And I was younger then. I was probably like 16 or 17. I was like, oh, shit, she's naked. Like in my brain, I was trying to play it cool. Like this wasn't my first rodeo. You know what I mean?
See this all the time.
Yeah. And they start doing this weird-ass like animalistic sexual dancing and shit. And somehow she's been over in front of him. Everybody's like, what's the word in Mexican for butthole? Or is like culo or something like that? Lick the culo or something like that. And this dude just starts fucking licking and tongue fucking her asshole in front of all of us right there. And I was like, holy shit. Like I couldn't fucking believe it.
Was this on the beach?
Yeah, I was out there on the beach, dude. There was like no cops. It was just like 100 fucking Mexican dudes and like me and like 3 or 4 of my friends.
Y'all just happened to roll up on this.
Yeah. We were just going to see because like the way the atmosphere is like everybody was just kind of going from party to party. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there was like little sections of a shitload of people, and I just couldn't believe it, dude. Like I was like worried for her fucking safety and shit, but I don't know what the fuck happened to her. Hopefully she didn't get fucking killed or something. But we left there, and I don't know. I don't remember the rest of the night, but I just remember that specific incident, and I thought it was really fucking strange.
Yeah, Galveston, there's a lot of shit that can go, that goes on weird. I've been there a lot. I know there was a period when I was probably my late teens, like 18, 19. I think I went every weekend for a couple of months in a row or something like that.
I remember that.
Yeah. Just ended up going a bunch, and there was just strange things happening all over the place, and it kind of depended on the weekend, right? Because sometimes it would be a pretty calm weekend, but there's a lot of events that go on there, right? Like there's like a bike rally type thing that goes on. Shit gets kind of crazy. It's like I don't want to say like a car show. It's more like it's kind of like a bike rally, but for cars. You know what I mean? And there's all different kinds. There'll be like the Asian cars, and then maybe hot rods or whatever. But it's like people or Jeeps, and people just descend on the beach, just thousands and thousands of people. And that's when shit gets weird. Like, as you go on the beach and you just really never know what you're going to run across out there.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I just had one more memory from there. We both know him. I'm not going to say his name. I hope he's doing well. But at that time, same time frame, when I was in my late teens somewhere, and shit was not going well in his life, and he was doing a lot of drugs and drinking and shit like that. And he was on the ferry with a couple of my other friends that night. I wasn't there. But he fucking jumped off of that motherfucker into the water, dude, like trying to kill himself. Yeah,
I remember when that happened. I remember hearing about it that next day, and that's crazy, dude. I actually every time I go on the ferry, I think of that story, because if you look off the side of that thing, like, to me, that is the thought of jumping in that water is fucking terrifying.
Hell
because
yeah, dude.
Out there in the middle, like, I've seen fins out there. Like, I'm going to assume that those are sharks or some other kind of large, unfriendly fish flying, swimming around out there. So, and not only that, but he did that shit at night too, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's, like the ocean at night, like, you just disappear, I mean, it's, especially in that water, because it's murky. Like, if you were to go under, like, you're no longer visible. I mean, and there is just no way that anyone would find you in time. It's amazing that he lived.
Yeah, and just if like the way I remember the ferry, I'm sure it's still the same, because it's it's a boat out in salt water.
Yeah,
and it's just like when you're looking at it, it's just a really rough looking ship or boat, whatever the fuck you want to call it. It's just all the iron and the corrosion around you.
I mean, it's just a gigantic machine.
Yeah, and just the thing of jumping off of that like hard thing into this dark, murky water in the middle of the night, it's just crazy to me, man. Because think about, I don't know how this works, but I mean, is it possible if you jump off the side to somehow kind of drift under the boat and get caught in those blades?
Keel hauled or something? Yeah, I don't know. Like,
dude.
It seems possible. I mean, there's all kinds of crazy currents coming off that big ass thing. So
yeah, but they got him. I don't remember how they rescued him, but they did get him out of there, and it's just crazy, man. Like, to be that young and to do something like that, it's just like, fuck, man. You need you need help. Like, how do you get there? You know?
I haven't seen that dude in years. I hope he's doing well. That's But yeah, I mean, every time I get on the ferry now, that does cross my mind. And I look over, I'm like, holy shit, that's fucking terrifying, man.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
I couldn't do that, dude.
You have to be in a rough spot, man, where that looks like a even viable option for anything.
Yeah, fuck that shit, man. But I don't know, dude. I'm trying to think of some more memories from Galveston, because I haven't even heard anybody talk about Galveston until you were telling me about the festival.
Well, it's funny because it's not that far. It's like 80 miles or something or something like that from here. And it's funny that we don't like go more, because there is some cool shit out there. I mean, at least in my opinion, there's if you go out on the Strand area, there's all kinds of badass restaurants, and there's some cool shops. There's like a antique nautical shop. Well, I say antique. Some of the stuff's antiques, but it's like all these things off of ships you can buy, like for decoration, But I mean, there's like sea maps and like portal. I'm gonna mess up I don't know what the names of all these things are, but nets, like those big giant fishing glass bobber balls or whatever that float on the end of the net. It's just, to me, that kind of shit is awesome. So I love just like walking around and seeing all that kind of stuff.
What about that bunker that was there? Do you remember back in the late 80s we went? Remember that girl that I used to be friends with when I was a kid? Her family came down and we went there.
It's Fort something. I can't think of what the name of it is. I actually saw it not that long ago, but I know back then you were able to walk inside it, but
yeah,
idiots fucked that all up. They started like, spray painting and on it, just fucking douchebags. So now they've got it all like roped off and stuff, and you can't actually go over there and go inside. But yeah,
but it wasn't like a prison. It was like a military.
It was a military thing. It's Fort something. I wish I could recall the name, but yeah, it's over there. It's right by remember like Seawolf Park where they have like you can go hang out in the submarine and all that.
Oh yeah. But I remember when we were there, dude, I was terrified because it looks like every fucking scary movie ever whenever you look into this black hole. Like you walk in a little bit of concrete and you can see from the sunlight, but then as the tunnels go on, it's just a complete fucking blackness and just, I don't know, it's kind of dirty and gritty in there, and it just looks scary. But that was the legend behind it. Is I forget the whole fucking history and story of the place, but that whoever was stationed there or whatever events took place there, that the ghosts were still around and people had seen them and all that shit. I don't believe that shit now, but back then I did.
Even now, when I looked at it, it's pretty like daunting looking because it has like moss growing up on the sides and all that kind of shit. I mean, it looks awesome. Like I love that kind of stuff. Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely still there. I wish you were able to go in it. Speaking of that area, just man, this wasn't even that long ago. Like a couple months ago, when Justin was in town, we didn't have anything to do one afternoon, so we hauled ass over to the Battleship of Texas. Dude, that thing is awesome. I hadn't been there since I was a kid, and it's amazing.
That's down like by La Porte. It's not in Galveston, right?
Yeah, it's not in Galveston. It's just headed down. It's actually right by the San Jacinto Monument. It's like right next to it.
You guys went there too, didn't you?
Yeah. We went up in the monument and looked around, and I've taken that. We took the kids there like a few months ago. Before that, it had it on my mind because I didn't realize it's only like 40 minutes from my house. Because now that I live on the other side of town, so it's just like you just scoot down there, and you're there. And it's pretty cool. But the Battleship, man, is incredible. If you go on that thing, and it gets kind of weird when you go below deck because you just keep kind of going down. And I kind of got like a little bit claustrophobic feeling in there almost because it's kind of small areas, I mean, it's all like done well and strong, but it's just kind of weird getting down in there,
Yeah, man. What the hell? I was gonna say something about that. The like San Jacinto Monument and all that shit.
Yeah.
Is we used to go there all the time for Boy Scouts because we lived in La Porte. You remember that?
Yeah.
Of course you remember that. But also, I went down there. This is a while ago. And it seems like all my stories are like 15 to 20 fucking years ago. I don't know. It's early 2000s.
That's probably right because you went to the military. You're gone forever.
yeah, I guess, yeah. And I went there with one of our friends, Dave. We were just bored one night, and we were fucking like, fuck it, let's just go drive, man. And he had to go do something in Houston. I don't fucking know. But we ended up going to La Porte also and going back to where we used to live by that house and everything.
Yeah.
When you go there so many years later, it's like, fuck, this place is depressing, dude. Especially after living where we live now with all the fucking beautiful tall-ass pine trees. There's fucking billions of them and shit. And then you go down there, and there's just something really like a raw and gritty about it. It reminds me of like an 80s like a gang versus gang atmosphere or something.
The thing about that area is it's all it's like a refinery town. That's why it exists. So everything's kind of like dirty and fucked up. And like, I mean, do you remember when we lived there, like the smell of the air? Yeah. We had like our water was yellow. I can remember filling up the bathtub and the water was always some fucking weird piss shade of yellow. And to this day, I have no idea what was really in that. But it's just the whole area is just kind of dirty and dingy and old,
Yeah, I was talking to our aunt about it. I saw her this last weekend. And she went down there for some reason. I forgot. She used to work in Houston. But I was just asking her about it, and she said, yeah, it's still exactly the same. It still smells terrible outside. There's always, like, this weird haze in the air and fucking... Because it's pretty rare out there. I don't remember a lot of beautiful days. I remember, like, just shitty air and, darker skies for some reason.
Yeah, it looks like fall outside, like, all year long.
Yeah.
Even in the middle of summer.
We went through, I believe, 2 hurricanes there, if I'm not mistaken. You remember that?
I know we went through one, and I do remember vividly seeing my first tornado while we lived there.
Yeah, and it was on top of the church across the street.
Yeah,
tore the roof off.
Yeah, right across the street over there. Because I can remember I was looking out the window and I saw shit flying through the air, and I said something to Dad. And I was young then. Like I don't know how old I was, but I was pretty young.
Probably about 8.
Yeah, and so I was like, Dad, look, there's that shit. And I can remember he like grabbed us like rag dolls and like threw us in the other room. And there was like that tornado. Because I remember afterwards we went over to the church to help clean up. and it had just like torn the roof off of it completely, and everything was all waterlogged and damaged.
Am I remembering correctly that after the roof was torn off, they discovered something that wasn't supposed to be there? Some kind of stolen money or, I don't know, drugs or something was up on top of that. Do you remember that?
Oh, I don't recall. Yeah.
I don't know. It seems like I asked Mom about it, and she agreed that happened, but it was so long ago it's hard to remember, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that'd be kind of weird for that to happen on top of a church. Obvious coincidence, but hey.
Hey, anything's possible.
Yeah.
And that's a weird area.
Yeah, man.
But I mean, back to Galveston, there's a lot of cool stuff down there. We ought to make a trip one of these days. It's cool, if nothing else, just to go like hang out by the ocean a little bit. And there's like lots of good seafood, like right there on the seawall. And like I said, the Strand is cool. There's some cool stuff out there. You know, you just go out and chill for a day. You know.
Yeah, I would love to go down there and get seafood. My girl doesn't like it much, but I fucking love this shit. And I went to Red Lobster not that long ago, and I think it would be hard for anybody to disagree. Their biscuits are amazing. Those, you know, those things that they bring out.
Yeah, can't fuck with that. Cheddar biscuits.
Yeah,
Shit.
they even sell the thing for it in the store, and it tastes exactly fucking like it.
Yeah.
But the rest of their seafood, to me, it wasn't like I remembered it when I was younger. Maybe I just didn't know any better, but it just wasn't that good, especially for the price. Like I bought a lobster for like $15 or $17, a lobster tail. It just tastes like shit, you know? I was like, what the fuck is this, man? So, but yeah, if we go down there, that's my number one priority, is to eat really good and authentic seafood.
There's a you haven't been there in a long time. So you remember when you would like pull in there was that giant hotel that was over the water. It was like out on that pier.
Yeah.
I think it was called the Flagship. Well, it got tore up during the hurricane. Either Rita or Ike, I can't remember, but they tore it down. So they made that into a huge pier now. They call it the Pleasure Pier. So there's like a Bubba Gump shrimp out there, and then it's kind of like a little theme park type of thing over there. There's like a Ferris wheel and, you know, just a couple of rides out there, but it's cool, man. It's a good environment over there in Bubba Gump's. You can go eat some good food and like look at the ocean and all that.
Have you eaten there at Bubba Gump's?
Yeah, I think I've been there 2 times now.
I wonder how that worked. I mean, obviously that's from Forrest Gump, right?
Oh, it's 100% licensed by it. Like you go in there and they give you like Forrest Gump trivia and shit like that. Like it's definitely related, licensed. Yeah.
That's a great movie. You know, I read the Forrest Gump book before I saw the movie.
Yeah, I remember you telling me, you were like, this is like the greatest book I've ever read.
It's a great fucking book, because I remember our Uncle Bill was telling us, he was like, oh, it's so fucking funny, da, da, da. You know, and he was going on. He's like one of those funny characters that can do the voices and stuff. And I was like, that sounds so badass, but I just, for whatever reason, when we were kids, we couldn't make it to the movie theater, and I was shopping with our grandmother, and I had done some chores, and I was like, you remember you said you would pay me $8? I was like, I want you to buy me the Forrest Gump book. And so she bought it for me, and I couldn't get my fucking nose out of it, dude. It was the movie is badass, and everything in the movie is in the book. But like a lot of things, there's like 10,000 times more shit in the book. Like Forrest Gump goes to space with this monkey, and he makes out or kisses Rachel, what's her name, Welch or something. She's like the famous pretty lady from back in that era.
I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, I'm not gonna give too many spoilers. I should have said spoiler alert, but it's a fucking badass book, dude. It's really fucking good, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna read that at some point. Like I see the book every once in a while. I'll be somewhere and I'll see it on the shelf. I'm like, man, I need to read that. I remember, because I always remember John said that book was fucking awesome. I remember how hyped, because you didn't read that many fiction books at that time, and I remember you'd read it because we were pretty young.
Yeah, and
you read this book, but you were just like ranting and raving about how awesome it was.
Yeah, I was in like 7th grade.
Yeah, that's always kind of like stuck with me.
Yeah, that's really well written and just easy to follow, and it's really fun, dude. Just funny as shit. But we talked about books on the last podcast quite a bit, and I've got the fever, man, and I need a fucking cure, and it's not cowbell. I need a fucking book, dude. A good ass fantasy. I don't know, a mystery or something. I just need a fucking book.
Did you ever read the oh shit, what's the name of that book? I think it's called The Magician Apprentice. It's by Robert Feist, I think is his name.
No, but it seems like you mentioned it.
Yeah, I read that book a long time ago, and it's actually I think there's a trilogy at least, and I've actually never read the trilogy, but I read the first book, and the first book was really, really good. I do know that. I'm sure the rest of it is, but that might be a good one to pick up.
Yeah, I just don't know what I'm in the mood for, man, because every once in a while a book will grab you. And one of the last ones, this is a while ago, is I think I probably told you about all the good books, obviously, but it's called The Forgotten Soldier, and it's written by Guy Sager, and it's a true story. And he was a German soldier during World War II, but he goes through the whole deal about Like, he doesn't see any positive stuff coming from America, you know, and they get their propaganda, and we have our propaganda. And he's just being objective and telling the truth about all the situations that happen. Mm-hmm. But I think he snuck in or something, or he joined when he was 15. I don't remember the rules for them on how they do that. But he was in there young, just a little boy. You know, they didn't have the internet from some little fucking town. He doesn't know anything. And he goes through the whole thing, and when he describes like war for the first time, just the way he writes it, it seems like you're right there, and you're like, damn, it's so gritty. You know, he said it wasn't like the films he had seen at the theater, and you know, it takes people don't just get shot in the arm and die. You know, there's like a lot of screaming and flailing and all this shit. And he just, I don't know, man. I don't want to give spoilers on that either, but god damn, that's a good book, dude. One more though. What was that motorcycle gang book that Mel Gibson was going to make a movie out of? Is it something Alone, Forgotten and Alone, or something like that? This dude goes undercover into the Hells Angels, and it goes through all that shit.
I'm not familiar with that.
Under and Alone, that's it. That book is fucking badass. You know, and anybody listening to this, if you just need recommendations, trust me, I know good books because I try to read a lot, but if I sense bullshit in the first like chapter, I'm not gonna fucking read it. You know, but these ones that I love, I'm telling you, they're fucking great books. Another
really great author. I mean, completely different subject, but you ever read any of the like Dean Koontz stuff?
A little bit, yeah.
I've read a couple of his books, and I can't remember the titles for the life of me. It's been a long time, but I remember both of those books, and I read them. They were like unsettling. You know what I mean? Like it definitely like invoked emotion. It made me like think, damn, that's. Sometimes you read something, and you're like, holy shit, that's fucked up. Like, how did that come out of somebody's brain? You know, like I've had that experience a few times with his books where I can remember. One time I was it was like in school suspension. You remember when we were in school, they called it RA, or reassignment school?
Oh, yeah.
So basically, if you were a jackass and got in trouble, you had kind of in school suspension where you would go sit in this room all day for some reason. And then you had reassignment school, which was like the next level, where they would actually bus you to this room that was in a strip mall. And you would sit there all day. I don't really understand what the point of it was. In hindsight, it's kind of stupid. But at any rate, I usually would go in there and like just read books. Like I wouldn't do any of my schoolwork. And I can remember sitting in there and I was reading one of those Dean Koontz books, and I'm surrounded by other kids and desks and shit, you know. And like I'm reading this thing, and I started reading one of the parts that was just really fucked up, you know. And then like I had to like I literally had to put the book down for a minute, and I was just sitting there like I felt like all strange and shit because of what I'd read, and I'm surrounded by all these kids and these desks and stuff. But I don't know. That's what I like in a writer, when you can make me like feel a certain way, when you can really like take me out of this reality into this like really strange or awesome place. That's when I know you're a good fucking writer. Like you're going above and beyond the Call of Duty. You've actually like elicited a response.
Yeah, that's something that I like a lot is when you're reading something and it's really dark and it's vulgar, but they choose to structure the sentence in such a way and use a certain vocabulary to where they're not really saying the vulgar words, you know what I'm saying? But they beat around it enough to where you can picture it in your brain, and somehow that makes it worse. Like it makes it like more scary, more terrifying.
Yeah, I think there's something special about books and being able to visualize things in your imagination that they can kind of take you to a place where a movie just can't do. Because like a movie can be shocking, it can be gory, it can be all these things, but something about I don't know, it's like leaving something to the imagination. I guess it's kind of that same concept of holy shit, that's unsettling. You know what I mean? And it's because you're the only one experiencing it too at that moment because you're in the book and nobody else around you knows what's happening. So it's just kind of this personal experience. And I don't know, man, it's cool. Now I want to read a book again. I'm back on the board. So.
How cool would it be if it was possible for us to share the visions we have or the visuals? Like if you and I read the same story and then compare what we have in our brains to see how similar they look, that would be fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, it's something about. Well, I guess that's kind of what they try to do with movies, is they they read the story and then try to replicate that in real life. But I think sometimes things are better when they're left in the imagination because you can kind of visualize it your own way, and then because. I mean, everybody says that the book's almost always better than the movie, right. And it's not just because the movie's missing shit, but I think a lot of it is that component of being able to visualize and kind of see it in your own brain and kind of build that world. You know, how your perception of what's being written.
Yeah, I felt that I've only read the first Game of Thrones book and a little bit of the second one, but when I saw the first season of Game of Thrones on HBO, I was like, holy shit, like feels fairly similar to how I pictured it in my mind. And so I think that it makes me wonder if other people feel that way. And I asked our cousin Steven, and he said, yeah, I mean, I get that too. I like the way, I don't know if it's just the great directors and producers and all that shit.
Well, and I think it was not only that, but they had George R. R. Martin was directly involved with it. You know what I mean? And not only that, but they cast it so well. Like, I mean, they found really just fantastic people to play those parts.
You know what's crazy about George R. R. Martin is, I don't know what his net worth is, but it's definitely in the tens of millions at a minimum. And he still lives in his small house in, I think it's New Mexico, right? And it doesn't seem that I don't think he's bought a new car or anything. He's just fucking rich as fuck, just chilling. But I don't remember what he said. I don't know the fucking quote, but he basically said, "Is like, I'm happy. I have everything I need. I don't." Like, what's a brand new fucking car going to give me? Kind of like the Warren Buffett attitude.
Right.
But I don't know. It made me respect him more. I don't know, like as an artist or something. Like, he's like, I got enough, bro. Like he's not trying to fucking turn into Lil Wayne and shit,
Yeah, yeah. That's that difference, I think, between rich people and people that are just stupid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If people are flaunting it, a lot of times they're just morons, where those that are, I guess, decent people, they're not doing that.
It probably has a lot to do with his age too, because I think he was having some success, monetarily from his books for quite a while, but not since Game of Thrones on HBO came out. Because now it's like it's like Harry fucking Potter or something. You know what I mean? Like everybody loves that shit, and he's getting royalties from that. But maybe I don't know. He's like in his 60s, right? So he can handle it better.
Yeah.
Whereas if you give a 20-year-old or a 30-year-old fucking $20 or $30 million, there's good chance they're going to make some mistakes.
What do you think you would do if you had that kind of money? I mean, do you think you would just go fucking hog wild, or what would you do?
If you would have asked me that before I started dating my girl and all that, I would have fucking gone crazy. I'd be in Amsterdam, fucking snorting coke and doing all kind of. Just because I've never even done coke, but just because.
Just because you can.
Yeah, I would be fucking trying to travel all over the place, fucking build a castle and fucking play World of Warcraft in my little dungeon all day. I'd just do dumb shit. I know I would.
Yeah.
But now I think I would live fairly responsible, pay a house off in cash and pay off the cars and the credit cards, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do all that shit. And I think that's probably what I would really do.
That's kind of how I feel. I feel like if I was rich, I would still be kind of practical. I would do some outlandish things because I have some pretty eccentric taste. Like, it wouldn't be beyond me to like build a castle or something. But at the same time, though, I don't think I would just go hog fucking wild. I think I'd be more interested in having experiences than buying a bunch of gaudy shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I can't see myself with bling and diamonds and shit all over me. Like, I think I'd be more interested in what can I do to have like new and cool experiences and go places that are strange and, just see all the weird things. Like I think like number one on my list would be going to see like Stonehenge and like fucking Easter Island, like just all the weird shit that exists in this world. Like, I want to see all those things.
Well, I've had this, I would do the same thing, but I've had this vision forever. And if I ever am wealthy, where I'm, a genuine millionaire, I'm going to make this fucking room in my house somewhere. It's going to be a big room, and it's going to have a huge fucking stone fireplace that's like has 3 angles on it that comes around. And I don't know, just like medieval wizard's laboratory type of looking shit. But it's going to be set up so that all the dudes in the family, well, I mean, other people can come, but we're going to have specific nights where we all just go in there, just the dudes who love medieval shit and all that stuff, and we can just hang out and drink wine and ale and shit and just fucking, just have fun, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And have all that atmosphere to like help us.
Kind of like an atmospheric campfire type situation.
Yeah, exactly, man.
Yeah, I feel you, dude.
I just need a lot of money if I'm ever going to make that happen. So.
Yeah. I don't think we have anything we're not going to have to make any of those hard decisions anytime soon, I'm afraid. Yeah.
But I love those kind of atmospheres. And out in Crockett, our family has property out there, and we created something like that. It was outside, though. It was, I don't know, like a 20-foot radius, or not radius, but radius. And it has like a fire pit in the middle, and furniture that I made out of wood and shit like that. It was a cool little chill spot.
Yeah, definitely.
It was a good time to come out there, but a fucking big ass storm came through and knocked all that shit down.
Yeah, I was actually just out there the other day, and it's like, it's going to need a lot of love to become what it was.
Yeah, I was looking at the materials to to make a big ass out, because you've seen outdoor fireplaces, you know,
Yeah.
like that type of shit, and it's expensive. Man.
Oh, it'd be thousands of dollars.
Yeah,
I mean, to do that
it,
right in that space. Yeah.
Yeah, to do it correctly, you're looking the way I want to do it, a minimum of like $10,000 to $15,000.
Yeah.
So, and I can't do it, man. Not right now, you know.
Well, yeah, somebody's gonna have to get rich so we can pull some of this shit off.
I know, man. I want to be rich so bad. I think I'm just now at a point in my life where I think I could probably handle it. So I'm ready. You know, universe, if you're listening, I'm ready now.
Yeah, mentally there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how was your Thanksgiving, man? Yeah, we had Thanksgiving since we were last on here.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was good, man. I went to my girl's parents' house, and then I went to our mother's house. And dude, I said on the last podcast I'm not gonna fucking stuff myself and shit. Well, that's a complete fucking lie, because I went fucking nuts, man. Just completely berserk, fucking stuffed. I'm not even going to talk about the shits I took the next day. It was just madness. But I didn't regret it. I was like, man, fuck this, dude. I've been good, and I know I'm going to be good on my diet and shit after this, so I'm just going to eat this fucking stuffing. And I'm going to get another serving and some pecan pie and fucking everything else on the table, dude. And I just went fucking ham, man. It was good.
That's fantastic. Yeah,
How
I went
was
to my in-laws, and it was you know, they got some acreage out there, so we just went and hung out and had campfires, and it was really, really relaxing. You know, I actually didn't stuff myself this year. I just kind of took it easy and ate kind of a regular meal, hung out. But one thing about my wife's family is they don't fuck with pecan pie.
Really? Are they allergic or something?
No. Yeah, I know that's what you would think, right? Like even my wife, she's just not into it. She's just not even. I think she'll try it. She's literally never had it before. We were just talking about it the other day.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, it's just not something. I mean, they do pumpkin pies and stuff, but I guess it's because it's more of a southern thing, and just not something
they're West Coast folks.
Yeah, never been exposed to it. So
yeah.
But man, I went and bought those little ones you can buy that are like
I know.
foreign. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you buy them bitches year round.
Oh man, I went and got one of those the other day, and like the crust is all buttery and shit. You know,
tell me you ate it in your car, did you?
Oh, I did.
Oh.
Yeah, it was fucking delicious. Yeah, just like the pig that I am. It was wonderful.
Have you seen that show, All of Us? It's super popular with women right now, especially.
No, I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, I've been watching it, and I like it. It's a good fucking show. It's a little bit sometimes kind of like, it's like, it's not an HBO series, you know?
Right.
But it's pretty fucking good. You know, I almost got teary-eyed the other night when I was watching. I was like, man, hold the fuck up, man. Like,
yeah.
But it's like, it sparks emotion. It's that good. Maybe I'm just a big softie. I don't know. But anyway, one of the girls, the main characters in the story, is like supremely obese, probably like 400 pounds. And but she's a good character too. But she's going to this eating class with her boyfriend. They're both fat, and it's Eaters Anonymous, whatever.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And anyway, she goes through a struggle in the show, and then she goes to a gas station by herself at night and gets a box of powdered donuts, and she's just sitting there like eating it, and she starts to cry a little bit. And I was like, holy shit, man! Like that's kind of how I feel. Like whenever I'm cheating on my diet, but fucking, sometimes I don't know, man. You just got to let loose.
You know what's weird is feeling guilty about eating.
I know.
Like, yeah. I never felt that. I mean, I say I feel it. I probably don't feel it the same way like someone like that does. Yeah. Like, but sometimes when I'm eating something, I'm like, even while I'm eating, I could be like chewing it. And I'm like, what the fuck am I eating this for? Like, I don't need to be doing this right now. But for some reason, I'm still doing it. It's real, man.
Yeah, we've talked about this at length. But the older I get, I'm less concerned with my physical appearance. My main concern is my health.
Yeah.
So if I'm fucking 15 or 20 pounds overweight by Calvin Klein's standards, who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? I don't give a shit. My hairline's receding. I mean, I had my day. I had my time,
It's funny. It seems like when you hit 30, it's like the fucking scale tilts, man. Yeah. It's like going, because like at first you're like, man, I care about my appearance, and then you kind of flip over 30. And I still care about my appearance to some extent, but like I'm much more concerned about my blood pressure, Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you start thinking about that mortality and shit, and that shit's real, man. So
yeah, I think about that shit a lot. I never used to think about it because I thought I was super healthy and I'd live forever and shit.
Yeah.
But fucking, I had the issue with my arm, a little scare there. It turned out to not be a big issue, just a long recovery. And I'm just like, dude, I don't want to die, man. I want to make it to at least like mid 70s. You know, I want to do my whole journey over, and then plus a half a journey again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's so much shit I want to enjoy and just.
Well, it's weird because and I think I guess that's why people start having midlife crises and shit too. Is like, a lot of times when you're young, you don't have the resources. Like you have the ability to do shit, but you don't have the resources to do it.
Right.
And usually, I mean, just kind of generally speaking, like when you get into your 30s, that's generally when you start to have a little bit of resources and you're able to kind of do some shit, but then you don't have the fucking time. You know what I mean? It's just this weird struggle of trying to like make it the planets align so you can get out and do the shit you want to do.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, I don't know if I'm quite to the age of midlife crisis yet, but I guess it just sort of depends. But
sometimes I feel like I'm approaching it. Yeah. Like I'm not there, but I can see it on the fucking horizon, you know?
Yeah. When I was younger, I liked, you remember Stone Cold Steve Austin, the wrestler? But he would drive into the arena in that big fucking badass black truck jamming AC/DC, and he'd get out and drink a beer and fucking do all the Steve Austin shit, and everybody would be going crazy. But that, and then you remember that movie Tango and Cash?
Yeah.
Yeah, that movie it's Sylvester Stallone and fucking, dude, he's one of my favorite actors. I can't think of his name. Anyway, they get this big badass black truck. So anyway, like those two things, I always had to set in my mind, dude, I would just want a big fucking badass black truck. And then when we were teenagers, we lived next to a pretty wealthy area, and you see these fucking 18-year-olds driving around in like a $40,000 truck or something, and, neither one of us had shit. And it's like, fuck, man. Like, you don't fucking appreciate that. Go fuck yourself. But I thought about that when I bought my truck. After I bought it, I was like, is this a midlife crisis? Am I old enough to have one? Because now I finally got the truck that I want. I've been eyeing this bitch for like a year and a half since they announced they were making it and shit. And then I think I was. I think it's what's mid, I don't know, fucking 1/3 life crisis. I don't know. But I kind of felt that emotion, like all that shit coming back to me. Like I want to feel young again and that passion and all that shit. But
yeah,
it's short-lived. You can buy any fucking car you want, and then a few months later, you kind of lose that thing with it.
Yeah, I think it's easy sometimes to think that like some material thing is going to change something or make you happy or something, but I don't think that's really how it works. I mean, it might for like a short period, but that novelty wears off quick.
Yeah, that's going back to what we were saying about rich people sometimes being frugal with their money and being responsible. And I remember seeing this guy. It was a rich dude. It might have been Warren Buffett or somebody on that level. And he was explaining it that, you can go buy all this new shit, but it's going to fade and corrode and you lose the joy. It's the same as if you buy a $20,000 Buick or if you buy a $150,000 Mercedes or whatever.
Right.
That joy fades quickly and the car begins to corrode. It doesn't look as new anymore. It's like, and the way he was explaining that, it was with all things. And it made sense to me. So, I mean, enjoy life, buy things that you like, but don't think that buying some material thing is going to fill like a huge hole or gap in your life, because that thing is going to fade and your problem is still there. I'm not trying to get all philosophical.
No, I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like now, for me at least, it's all about the experience. It's about getting to do things and to see things, and I guess just to experience new things more so than having a material object. Because I think I would like to have a very nice car or something like that. But I think that's cool. It doesn't bring me any kind of personal joy out of that. Where like I'd like to just go do weird shit. Like if I could, like I'd love to go to the like celebrity center of the fucking Church of Scientology in LA, or you know what I mean. And not because I give a fuck about joining Scientology, but just to go see the fucking weirdness. You know what I mean? I'd love to just go sit down and talk to one of those people and have them give me the spiel, or to go and just, I don't know, man. Just anywhere where there's something unusual, something you don't see every day. There's all these little cool places all around the world that have. So I was in Barnes and Noble the other day, and there was a book, and what was it called? It's called like Atlas Obscura or something like that. But it's just this big giant book of just wild shit all around the earth, like places you could go. I think I'm going to buy this thing off Amazon and start getting some ideas. But it's just like, going to, I guess, like people's religious stuff and people's, I guess, just cultural stuff, I think is becoming more and more interesting to me. It's not and only as a bystander, as just like kind of looking at it, because I'm generally interested in what people do and how they think, and just like what has built their culture and things like that. Like to me, that stuff is fascinating, and just the kind of the history of all that. Have you ever seen? Did we talk about this before? In Prague, there's this church that's made out of like all human bones.
Oh, I've seen that.
Have you seen
TV.
pictures of that thing? Yeah. Like, just stuff like that. Like, you just don't see that every day. And it's not something that money can buy, per se, but it's, money can get you there. It can get you to these places to see these things. And to me, that seems much more compelling than, having like a diamond-encrusted, Bentley or something like that.
Oh, for sure. When I went to Yosemite National Park, remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I went to, I think I've talked about this, so I won't go on about it, but it's when I went to school in Reno, and Reno is not that far from it. I started looking at the map. I was like, dude, I want to fucking go there. And so I did. So a Saturday, I was off school, and I drove over there, and I could only spend the day there. I got up early. I probably got there around noon, and I left around probably 9 p.m. maybe. But that whole experience was so fucking crazy to me because I'd never seen anything like that in person. I've always liked, of course, the medieval shit, and what goes with that is a lot of times is those type of terrains. Like think of Lord of the Rings when they're in New Zealand, all those beautiful mountains and shit. And when I was driving up, I'd never seen anything like this in my life. I felt like I was on a different planet, like I was on the fucking moon or something, because you go from those just long stretches of highways where to get there, there's really no one on it. And it just looks like a regular California type of land. And then all of a sudden you start pulling up, dude, and you like driving through the mountains and shit. And it's like such a quick change. And I felt, it was like we were talking about with the ocean earlier, is I felt small, but I felt just grateful that I'm even alive to be able to see this shit.
Yeah.
And so I went all through there and saw the most beautiful rivers with fish jumping out of them and shit. And I took some pictures. I don't know if it was a long time ago. I don't know if you remember that, but it was on the first iPhone, so they were fucking terrible pictures, but it was just so beautiful. And at the end of the night, I went to Glacier Point, and that's where like a lot of astrologers go. And I don't know if any of the people out there were professionals, but there was a ton of motherfuckers out there with big ass telescopes. And it was kind of funny because there was this guy, he was a younger guy, kind of a good looking guy in his early 20s probably, or mid 20s. And these like two pretty girls walked up and they're like, oh, look, it's so cool. Because when you're out there, there's no light pollution.
Right.
And so you can see the fucking Milky Way. Like, I can't even explain in words how clear that shit is. Like, chances are wherever you live, you've never seen anything like this in your fucking life. And plus you're high as fuck up in the air. But these girls were like asking questions and stuff. He's like, oh, it's actually Neptune and fucking those, whatever the fuck, like all that shit. I don't know, whatever the, what is it called? The Big Dipper? Like, that kind of thing.
The constellation type stuff.
And those chicks were eating it up, dude. I was like, holy shit, dude, that guy's definitely going to get laid. I didn't, being a nerd can pay off, man. But he had him and some other guys, they had these laser pointers and they're strong. And so when you point it, it looks like you're literally pointing at the fucking star with it whenever they use it. I thought that was badass, man. But I didn't ask to look through anybody's telescope. It seemed kind of weird. But they had a guy out there giving a speech, and he was using his little laser pointer and showing everybody what was what. And then towards the end, there's like I don't know, a little bit of a quiet time for everybody to just appreciate it and just really just stare at it and kind of go off into their own world and shit. Yeah. And it was cool, man. But it was scary walking out of there because there's a shitload of fucking bears there, like black bears. It's the little bears, they're like 300-400 pounds. But I don't know shit about them. Apparently, they don't really attack people unless you get near their cubs. Like, they won't even fuck with you,
Yeah.
But I could hear them in the woods fucking making all these noises. And I'm walking back. Because when you're walking back from Glacier Point, it's this wooded area. And it's kind of like a dirt road. And it goes to the parking lot. But that shit's like, I don't know, like 500 feet probably, man. And I was trying to, like, fit in with these other people so that at least we're in a pack, right? If we get attacked, I can run and they can get eaten, right? That's what I'm thinking. Because what are you going to do with a fucking bear? Nobody's got a gun, you know what I mean? And, I kept getting in these situations where I didn't have enough people around me and I could just hear all the wild motherfuckers in the woods, the fucking bears and shit. And I was scared, man. I was genuinely scared. But now I know more about them. I think I can handle it a little better, But, it was funny. When I first showed up there to watch the stars and all that shit, I had to take a piss super bad, dude, because it took me like 30 minutes to drive from wherever I was in the park to there. And I had to piss, and so I kind of went away from the group, the little stone bench area, and I started pissing like next to this cliff. It's fucking hundreds of feet down. I'm like, man, this is so fucking majestic and badass, dude. And I look over, and there's this big-ass fucking deer, like a buck, with the horns, the antlers. And he's just looking at me, dude, like he's like chewing something, just staring at me. And I'm like, holy fucking shit, it's so majestic. And because I knew he wasn't going to be aggressive because he sees humans all the time. Yeah. I'm not fucking with him, And he's just fucking staring at me. And I'm like, dude, you're like fucking 6 feet from me. This is great. But yes, on to what you were saying. It's those experiences to me. is more important than wealth. Just all the magic I felt that day. It sucks that I was by myself, like touring, I guess, like a tourist.
Yeah.
But it was cool, man. Everybody there was super fucking nice because it creates an atmosphere. Like, nobody wants to get in a fist fight at fucking Yosemite National Park. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. Like, everybody's kind of in that same zone of just like, this is awesome.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you hear so many different accents because it's a massive tourist location for people across the globe because it's so fucking beautiful there. It's just unreal. And some people from like Belgium or something were like, "Ooh, I can't do the accent. I'm not going to disrespect them," but they talk like Jean-Claude Van Damme, basically. You know, like they're English.
Yeah.
And can you take a picture for us or whatever? And I was doing that, and they took a picture of me, and just everybody was nice, man. Like all these people from China and Japan and shit. It was just fucking cool, man. It was really fucking nice there.
When you were out there, did you get an opportunity to drive up Highway 1 at all?
Is that the highway that's just long as fuck?
Yeah, it's like it's like up the coast there, and it's like the same place where they film like car commercials of them going over those badass bridges like next to the ocean and all that.
Oh no, I didn't get to go there.
Yeah, we drove up that thing one day, and we saw whales migrating. Like,
really?
Think about that for a minute. Like, just how insane that is. Like, that's something that I would only ever see on like a Discovery Channel documentary. You know what I mean? And to go out and see it, but it wasn't just the whales. I mean, there was all kinds of like awesome wildlife, and not only the wildlife, but just the way everything looks, because you're looking at all these cliffs and these rocks out in the ocean, and you know, just like beautiful, pristine water like crashing over these rocks and all this kind of stuff. We saw a waterfall, dude, like a waterfall that comes down onto a beach. You know what I mean? You just don't see that kind of shit, and it's just. That's the kind of stuff that, like, it just makes you feel good inside, you know? Like, it's something that money can't really buy. There's not an object, you know, that can replace that kind of feeling you get when you go out into these just majestic places in the world.
Yeah. Have you, and this is kind of random, but have you seen that commercial on TV? And it's like a Save the World hippie commercial. And the song's like, "You fill up my senses," or something like that. "Creamy blue oceans." It's like that kind of shit. Have you seen that?
No, dude.
I fucking hate that song, but I can't get it out of my head. And every time it comes on, I start singing it. And obviously, I have a terrible singing voice. And my girl just looks at me like, "You're a fucking moron." But I'm starting. It's one of those things where you hear a song and you're like, "I fucking hate that," and then you start to love it. Like, you genuinely fall in love with it. It's like a fucking like a hippie song or something. I don't know.
Well, it's kind of like it's like most pop music. It's like actually like mathematically designed to stick in your head, you know, and to make you sing it. Yeah, even if you don't particularly like it, right?
Yeah, but I picture that guy who sings it. It's like that hippie dude from Beavis and Butthead. You remember that guy, the teacher?
Oh yeah,
with the peace sign on his shirt. I can't remember his name, but surely everybody remembers that. And speaking of Beavis and Butthead, I fucking was watching, I think I watched 2 or 3 episodes on YouTube the other night. And I was like, man, you know what? It's not the greatest show. Back then it was, especially when you were a kid. And there wasn't anything else like that. But I kind of want to get back into it. I think that, what the fuck's it called? Netflix. I think they still have it on there, don't they?
I don't know that I've watched an episode of Beavis and Butthead since it was on.
Yeah.
I'm not, I haven't noticed it on Netflix, but I usually don't see anything except for the little kids channel. So
yeah. Well, I remember back in early 2013, they started making new Beavis and Buttheads on MTV. I don't know if they continued to do that more than one season, but at that time, Netflix bought the rights or whatever. Not the rights, but you know what I mean, like a user agreement or something, so they can put it on Netflix. And they had every season on there, and I binge watched it every day after work for probably a week. And it was weird because in some weird way, I didn't even realize I was doing it until maybe the second or third day of my binge watching. But I would go to the corner store before I'd go home and get like a large fountain drink and some fucking shitty gas station nachos, or you know what I mean, like that kind of shit, or hot dogs. But it's like, because that's what I would do when I used to watch it, and that's what Beavis and Butthead do. You know, I don't know. It's kind of weird, man, because I was telling you when I was reading the Charles Bukowski book, how I went and I bought the whiskey, and I was sipping the whiskey as I was reading the book, because like that's what he was doing.
Gotta go into like a full immersion.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm supposed to be a method actor, or maybe I'm just a fucking tool. I don't know. But there's something about that to me. It makes a difference. It makes it more fun. You know.
Well, there's something about like the certain ways you can consume media or like music and television, I think that add to like the atmosphere. It's kind of like I know for me, like listening to music sometimes on a record player versus like on a CD or something, there's something about that enhances the experience of listening to music just because of what it is, you know, like the imperfections, the pops on the record and stuff like that, you know, like to me, it's somewhat nostalgic because we used to listen to records all the time when we were kids, you know, but just hearing those kind of old scratched records and, you know, listening to those songs, it does. I agree with you. It improves the experience by just doing these small things a little bit differently with the same thing you would be doing anyway.
Yeah. I found a recording from Man of War, and I don't know how you do this or if it's digitally enhanced, but it's like a 12-minute song that, I mean, I wish I could think of the name of it. I'm ashamed that I can't think of it. But anyway, it's like a 12-minute song, and it sounds like it's playing off of a record. And for whatever reason, that adds so much more to that 12-minute track. It's like, it takes you there. It's almost like...
there's like some authenticity to it.
Yeah, it's like I'm in this 1970s Dungeons and Dragons artwork world or something. I'm there with them, and that popping and hisses and whatever, that it makes it, I don't know, man, authentic, you know? I'm at a loss for words, but it's just fucking cool, man. I like that shit. Yeah,
it's cool just how, I think as we notice things like that, we should bring them up just because it is cool to experience things in different ways that, you know, especially when it's something as simple as that, you know, if it's listening to something on a record player, if it's having some whiskey while you're reading a book or whatever it is, you know, just these little things that can enhance the experience of something and not enhance it in a way like you're doing acid and you're like having visual, but it's just like adding these small things that make the experience more full, more real, you know, or helping you to identify and associate a little bit with whatever it is that you're, you know, listening to or reading or watching or whatever it is.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this on or off the podcast. I don't know, but is us doing more things together, you know, like after work or on the weekends or something, like us going to, for example, that Dickens Festival. I can't go this weekend. I wish I could. Not just so we have shit to talk about on the podcast, but also because I want to start enjoying life more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Because
everybody knows this. It's very easy to get into a pattern of just going to work and going home, and you just do these same 5 or 6 things, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, I've been in that slump for like several years now of really just being like a workhorse and not really doing that much shit, and that's something I'm definitely actively trying to improve, is getting out and just doing more things.
Yeah, like when we went to that fucking the Marilyn Manson and Slipknot concert, that shit was so fun, dude. I was riding a high for days after that, and you know, me and you had a blast, and we were just having fun, and just that whole thing, man, it was so fucking cool. I want us to do more shit like that, you know? But I know it's hard for both of us, like, because there's certain things that we might want to do where it's not really the best atmosphere for children, and you know, you get to work around that and shit like that. But yeah, man, I would fucking love to just do that kind of shit more. Just get out and into the world and just be alive.
Yeah, there's a magazine. I think it's called Travel Texas or something like that. But really, all it is just a bunch of shit that's around here. So you know, you can do the kind of like staycation thing. You know, you can go somewhere on a weekend and see something that's vastly different, and it's not all that far away, and not like crazy expensive to do. So.
Yeah, I was thinking about going to Huntsville State Park. I mean, it's a cool place, you know, you go camping and shit like that. But I was thinking, you know, like me and my lady and your lady and you, and we can all go out there or something, you know, and or even our families. But I'm thinking, man, maybe after like a day, I think we might get bored. You know, I don't know. Like you have one day where you make food outside and a campfire at night, and then what? You know?
Well, you know, there's things you can do at these things that I don't think you and I have ever done it, because we usually just go and like camp and fuck off when we used to go. But I think that the park actually provides things like at night. Like you can go out and they'll like teach you about like animal sounds, like help you identify different, you know, sounds at night, or like look at the stars, kind of like the stuff you were talking about, of course, on a much smaller scale. But, you know, just going out and doing these things, or they'll take you to a certain part in the park where you can see this, whatever the hell it is. There's a whole like schedule of stuff that goes on at these parks. I actually didn't realize this until like fairly recently. We were at a different park and I saw it. But yeah, so there's like other activities you can do, you know, and actually go out kind of and experience the park and see what's unique about it, you know, other than just kind of sitting in the woods with a campfire.
Yeah. That just somehow reminds me of this. What's that Boy Scout place called that's not far from here?
Strake?
Yeah, Camp Strake, right? There's somebody, some corporation or somebody bought that, and they're tearing it down.
I heard something about that. Yeah, I heard it's going to become like a residential area, which is a shame because that was a pretty cool place.
It was, man, because both of us have good memories from there because we both did Boy Scouts for a couple of years at least. Somewhere between like 7 and 10-ish or something maybe.
Yeah, I did it from, what are you when you start? Cub Scout.
Cub Scout.
Yeah, I did it Cub Scout. I did that full thing, and then I know I went into Boy Scouts a little bit. Then I started getting too old and too cool for it or whatever, you know. But I know that it was awesome when I was in it. I enjoyed doing all the stuff.
Yeah, I think that, but Camp Strake is, I mean, there's Boy Scout camps all over the country, I'm sure, but that's one of the more famous ones. Like, there's Boy Scouts and whatever the fuck, they come down to that camp to do, I don't know, whatever Boy Scouts do, you know what I mean? But they're fucking tearing that shit down now and fucking building houses. I mean, I get it, you know, whoever owns that shit's getting rich as fuck, I get it, you know, but I don't know. Just kind of sad in a way, I guess.
Yeah, when the natural stuff gets torn down for just more fucking houses.
Yeah, because I remember we'd play Capture the Flag out there. I was with you and some of our other friends, because you had friends your age that were in it, and I had, you know, we all lived in the neighborhood, a lot of us together, and so we did that, and where you stand on the fucking log and you try to push each other off, King of the Mountain or something like that, and I don't know, building fires and shit, you know, I don't know. I mean, I know that Boy Scouts can get kind of a bad rap in the same sense that like a Catholic priest, you know what I mean? Like people assume that.
Yeah, I think I'm guessing that's probably more few and far between.
Yeah, like I never saw anything like that or heard it ever.
No, there was never any experience even a little bit like that for me.
No, I never saw anything.
100% on the up and up. It was.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, it's like anything. Anywhere you go, there could be jerk-offs, you know? I mean...
Yeah, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, but, yeah, I don't have any bad feelings about the Boy Scouts at all. My experiences were 100% positive. Definitely positive. I mean, I think you know, because I made a lot of good friends there, and not only that, but you got to do a lot of cool things, you know? Yeah. I mean, even the little things when you're a kid, like getting a pocket knife. You remember... You had to like take a test to get your whittler's chip or whatever, so you could carry your little Boy Scout pocket knife or whatever.
Yeah, and if you you had 4 chances to misuse it in some type. Well, it depends on the infraction. If they're minor, then they cut a corner off of your license. Remember that? Off of your license to carry the knife that you have. And then if you cut off all 4 corners, then you lose it for 6 months or a year or something like that.
Oh, I don't remember that.
You have to but I was there. And this guy, I didn't really know him, but we were in the same grade, we went to the same school, and I saw him out there, and I saw his 4th corner get clipped, and the look in his eyes, dude, like genuine sadness, like kind of shaky eyes that were starting to water up, and I felt bad, like scared. I was like, man, I got to keep my shit together. I don't want to lose my fucking knife, you know? But I never lost a corner.
Yeah, but I don't think I lost a corner, but I've always been kind of like follow the rules type of guy, I guess, to some extent. But, you know, you remember doing like the merit badges? Like I had like, because in those Boy Scout manuals, there'd be like tons of badass stuff you could do. It'd be like build this or go find these plants, or, you know, it was basically just sending you out to learn is what it was. And you would go out, and I got fascinated with earning those patches. I was like, man, I'll pick a chapter and I'm going to go do all this stuff, whatever that is, you know. But it was cool because it exposes you to so many different things at such a young age, and they're interesting things. They're not just benign bullshit. You're actually going out and looking at things that are interesting, like. You start to learn about different kinds of plants. You learn how to tie different kinds of knots. You know, actual practical knowledge that you can use. Yeah, you know, and then on top of that, you're rewarded in these kind of, I don't know, it's almost like a video game kind of way. You know, you're rewarded in these kind of micro payment ways of, oh, you complete this, so now you get this patch. And you know, I don't know. It's like at least for my mindset, it had like a good incentive to keep doing these things and to keep learning more stuff.
And that's also, I know it's a lot to do with getting promoted, because you have to do so many in each book. Like, because you're a Cub Scout, Wolf Scout, and then Bear Scout, then Weeblo or some shit like that. Yeah, it's like earning rank. You have to do so much of that, plus stay out of trouble, do community service, that kind of shit, and then you get promoted. But I remember the promotions because all the Cub Scouts, I think, were sitting like on one side or something. No. All the Cub Scouts sit like sort of in the middle and the back, and then all the... what is it after Weeblo? What is that? It's like the...
That's why you have Boy Scouts after Weeblo.
Oh, that's when you become a Boy Scout.
Yeah, Arrow of Light and all that.
Oh, yeah. And so like all the Weeblos and Boy Scouts are sitting up front. And so when you're like 8 years old or something like that, and you see this dude is like 16 and he's got 6,000 fucking badges. You're like, holy shit, I want that. But when you get promoted, they call you up and you get to go stand up in front for a second. They say, this is so and so, and they get promoted, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like it feels fucking cool. It feels official, like you're in the military almost.
Yeah, it's kind of like a formal event.
Yeah, everybody. Usually, it seems like most people are genuinely happy for you. Like all the parents are glad. No one's there. Like it's not a competition. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all good memories.
Yeah.
Fucking. I remember the one. It was in that church, and it was Halloween, and we were all sitting in a circle, and you have to like close your eyes, and they pass around items, and it's like a fucking, and it really was a cow tongue. And you have to like touch them and try to identify them or something. Do you remember that?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, I don't know. But I was talking to one of my friends about this a couple of weeks ago. It was one of the nasty things. I don't even know if this is still a thing anymore because it's so unhygienic, is bobbing for apples. Like everybody doing it and like their saliva getting mixed into the water. That's fucking disgusting, man.
I don't know that I've actually ever seen that in person.
Yeah, I did it. At one of the Boy Scout things.
Oh, did you really? Yeah.
Yeah, like 89, 90, somewhere around there. Yeah, but I guess back then it didn't hit me, but that's fucking gross. Like, what? I'm not fucking doing that,
Yeah. Yeah. It does seem kind of gross.
It's fucking super disgusting. Fun times.
Indeed.
We were fucking Boy Scouts.
Yeah. Both of us. Yeah. But, hey, we're wrapping up on an hour here, so thanks.
Yeah.
I'm about to get out of here.
Yeah. Cool, man.
All right, guys. Well, as always, check us out at jakeandjohnshow.com. On Twitter at Jake and John Show, and on Facebook at Jake and John Show. If you want to leave us a voicemail, the number is 804-557-4691. That's 804-JJ-SHOW-1. And until next time, take it easy.
Oh, yeah, next time.